Triple Threat Podcast, sponsored by Platinum Pure Events and Miami Ice. I'm your host, Scott Whittle, along with my co-host, David Hill and Blake Prestige. We're joined in studio tonight by Central Boys head basketball coach, Josh Bryant. Tonight we're going to announce our Week 4 Miami Ice Players of the Week for the boys and the girls, and we'll also visit with Loretto Mustangs, the Lady Mustangs, girls coach, Ashley Rutledge. Guys, how's your week been?
Been a great week. Got to watch a lot of basketball. Got to see some of my picks come through, some of them not come through. Got to see Central here pull off the big win over at the Dome, so I know we're going to talk about that in a bit. So it was a good week.
Yeah, it was, man. A lot of good games. Lots of good games. Scott and I got to watch the game of the week together. My NFHS, I keep that going a lot. No, it's been fun. It's going to be even more fun this upcoming week. I'm excited.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. Deshler coming off of a loss to Central.
Yeah.
Losing on their home floor. I figured they'd be hungry. I think you and I both picked Brooks to win the game. Coach Prestige did pick Deshler in the upset. I guess it's an upset. Anytime you win, I guess, on the road in 4A Area 14, it's probably an upset. But I thought Deshler executed a little bit better down the stretch.
Yeah. They
shot the ball great. They made 10 three-pointers in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed with their perimeter shooting. Minshew kid, I think Everett Minshew had a really good game that night, had 18 points. So very, very good game, good response to bounce back with that win. It's going to make that area that we've talked about so much in previous weeks, that much more interesting as we move down the road. And we look forward to talking to Coach Brian about his team and their 2-0 start in that area. But we're going to go ahead and get our Week 4 Player of the Week. I want to start with the boys or the girls.
So the boys.
So who we got this week in the boys?
And in the boys this week, I know we talked a lot about it, but there were a lot of boys who had big weeks. I know two of Coach Bryant's players, Bryant Hanback and Jackson Brewer, both had big weeks for them, 20-plus points. Jovi Jackson from Deshler had a big game against Brooks Friday night, but we ended up going with Calvin Watkins from Lauderdale County, who had a big week, had 20-plus points in 2 games and had 16 Saturday, so he had a good week for Lauderdale County.
Yeah, man, Lauderdale County, and again, he has a lot to do with that, kind of being the lone, probably, I don't want to say lone leader, but he's one of the very few that have experience, especially with Adams, the kid getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I said a couple weeks ago when we thought they upset Brooks, I mean, it was an upset, but I said the further their team goes out through the season, by the end of the year, we probably won't look at that as an upset because I think they're really good. I think they're tough. And this week, again, they keep surging and playing really, really well and getting some confidence. And I think they're going to be a tough out, and especially if Calvin's playing well, I think that's huge for them.
And I want to make sure I say, too, Jalen Chandler did have a big week as well for Florence. I'm not going to leave Jalen out.
You better.
He did have a big week, so.
Jalen Chandler, yes, we really appreciate what the fans have got to experience with our interaction with Jalen Chandler and Florence, and we can't thank Coach Prestige enough for giving that ammunition to Jalen and them. But let's see if we can get Calvin on the phone and let him know he's our Player of the Week. So let's call Calvin Watkins from Lauderdale County.
At this time, we want to announce our Boys Player of the Week, Calvin Watkins from Lauderdale County. Calvin, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, listen, I know you had a big week. You're in a new role this year. Last year, I think that you were probably one of the most improved players in the Shoals area from the start to the finish of the season. But you guys had a lot of seniors on your team last year. This year, you've really taken on a leadership role. Talk about what that's been like.
It's been great for the last year that I played basketball on varsity, and I really learned a lot from the seniors last year.
Right. And talk about some of the young guys. I know y'all are young, but y'all have got a lot of talent. Talk about how those guys are coming along.
They're coming along good. Our first game, they was a little bit nervous, and I tried to basically motivate them more and tell them that it's just another game that they play.
Right. Well, I know this week you guys have Brooks Tuesday night, Central Thursday night, and I think you have Rogers Friday night. So listen, man, you're going to have to get on to Coach Owens about that schedule. That's a rough week. But I know if y'all keep playing the way you've been playing, y'all will be fine, and good luck to you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Hey, Calvin, this is David Hill. How are you doing, man?
Good.
So what you think, what would you say is the biggest difference between, last year you had a lot of older guys on your team. This year you've got some younger guys. What do you feel like is the biggest difference team-wise? Obviously there's a difference in age, but what's the difference feel-wise between that maybe more veteran team and then now having a younger group of teammates?
The veteran team was like, it was just a bunch of passing and cutting basically.
Yeah.
Like everybody was dead. And the younger team is more exciting to play with because they're all around my age.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit more hungry for it, you feel like?
Yes.
I got you. Well, man, you've had a great start. I think you do a really good job. When you're really getting downhill and applying pressure like you've been doing this week and throughout, your season's playing, I think you're as tough as they come, and we're excited that you're the boys player of the week. It's a big accomplishment, and we just wanted to congratulate you for that. I'm gonna let Coach Scott Whittle holler at you a little bit too.
Okay, thank you.
Calvin, I got to see you play at home when you guys beat Brooks. And what was really a good game, I mean, it came down to the wire. Talk about what happened when you and Miles Warren got tied up there at the end of the game.
It was like a really exciting game at the end there, and it got a little chippy at the end, but we really sold it with free throws for us.
Yes, I thought so too. And, talk about what it's been like playing without one of your senior leaders and missing with injury.
It kind of like hurt us a little bit because everybody was like, they didn't know what we was going to do without him. And I was just trying to tell them that we're going to be fine without him. But it would so help if we had him back.
Well, you guys are doing well. I think you're on a 5-game winning streak, and we look forward to watching you play in the games this week. And congratulations again on being our Miami Ice Player of the Week for Week 4. It puts you in the running for Player of the Year. So congratulations, and thanks for joining us, Calvin.
Okay, thank you.
That was Calvin Watkins, Lauderdale County boys.
Lauderdale County has 2 of the fastest players in the Shoals. I'm not saying they are the 2 fastest players in the Shoals, but off
Do you think they're faster than Jalen Chandler?
That's why I said that. I don't think they're faster than Jalen Chandler, but they have 2 players that are the fastest players off the dribble that I've seen this year. One of them is Calvin Watkins, and the other one is an 8th grader, Jaden Sears.
Dude can go.
That we need to keep an eye on. He's a special kid too. But they are so fast off the dribble, and that's what makes them effective. And then they got shooters that they can kick it out to. And, Calvin can shoot the 3 as well. But, they're young, but they are very talented. They're very talented. And Coach Owens does a great job. They play hard.
That's a lot of speed, Coach. Thursday night, you guys going to tangle with the Tigers?
I was interested to see how they were going to perform, but it sounds like they're young and energetic, and another team on a win streak. So
He don't even know who they're playing this week other than the blue team.
That is
I know
true.
who we got.
He ain't even thought about anybody else other than Tuesday night, prime time, main event. Are we at Central or are we at?
We're going on the road. We're going over
Okay.
to Wilson.
He
So
said
we're going-
Wilson. He didn't say the blue team.
Wilson.
There we go.
Wow.
I want to know this. So who started the red-blue team?
I really don't know.
Has that been around since you got to Central?
I've always heard it. I never
Okay.
really say it. I'm
Was
not
it Scott
about the
Jones?
red. It could have been Scott Jones. I think it's a football thing more than
I got
basketball.
you.
I think it's a football thing.
We're all about basketball here. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't care. I mean, I do love the chants, just like football, and I think the Deshler game, Brooks, they said just like tennis, they took it to another level. But you guys are off to a hot start, and in order to continue that, you got a tough schedule. Talk about the week ahead.
It is going to be a tough week. We go to Wilson Tuesday night, and then we're on the road at Lauderdale County Thursday night, and then we're back at home in the JKG on Friday night with Colbert Heights. We've got a good record as well, so it's another challenging week for our guys, and we're just trying to get better each week because it all comes down to the end, and beginning of February is what we're all building towards.
Did you say you were off Wednesday night?
Everyone needs to be proud. We're not playing this Wednesday because
Inside joke for years.
We're
Me and
tough on
Josh.
Wednesdays. So as long as snow don't
I
get us
got
this
you.
year, but snow gets us. So you don't want to play us on Wednesdays.
Let's go back to last week. I want to talk about last week.
Yes.
I want to talk about last Tuesday night. Your guys go to the Dome, big area game at Deshler, and get the win. Talk about that game.
You know, we knew it'd be a tough game. It was a great atmosphere. They were having TVBA night, recognizing all their young kids, and it was a big crowd. And you know, our guys, they play with confidence, and we got there that night, and you could just had a good feeling about it. And the longer we could hang in the game, I felt like we had an opportunity to win. But man, our kids just played really, really hard. They laid it on the line for each other, and they defended pretty good, and we was able to weather the storms. That's really the thing when you play Deshler.
Right.
You just can't let them. You can't let one mistake become two or three in a row. And we were able to do that over the course of the game, and got it to the middle of the fourth quarter, and we just made a few more plays down the stretch. But I thought it was a really good basketball game.
With it being TVBA night, do you know how much they charge admission wise?
I believe it was $10. I believe it was $10.
No, that's another little joke, but.
Everybody's going to get that joke, by the way.
Right,
that's not
right.
an inside joke. Everybody's going to understand that one.
That's an outside joke.
We'll have to tease that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought y'all did a really good job. Like you I thought what was huge for y'all was being able to somewhat take the air out of the ball. And, you know, that was something Blake was good at as well. And I'm not saying that as a jab or joke. Like, when you can control the pace and the flow, and I thought you hit some timely shots.
We did.
And hit timely free throws. You know, when you make those timely free throws and you're controlling it's huge. When you control it and then you go and you miss a lot of free throws, well, what are they doing that for? That's dumb. But you were able to control the ball, control the possession, and the huge part of it was connect to the free throw line. I felt like was a big difference, and I thought that was something when you're a team like Deshler and you're a team that you're playing pace, tempo, fast, and you're dictating what they're doing. I think that was a huge deal that I thought, to me, y'all did a really good job of.
We made a few crucial threes, and like you said, we made some free throws. And it was late there, and I can remember, I think one time we ran about a minute off the clock.
You did, yes.
When they didn't foul
I think
us.
around 2 or 3.
And it was one of those things as a coach, you see a couple of times we was in a little bit of trouble, and you think, call timeout. But against a team as athletic as them, I'm thinking, now we got to try to get it in bounds on the side. So as long as I felt like we were okay.
So let's talk about that. I think that's something we need to bring up. And we're all basketball people and love basketball. You're getting into that spot. You're 2 to 3 minutes. You know, you've got a team that's trying to take the air out of it. What is y'all's thoughts? Do you foul immediately already at that 3-point mark? Or that not that 3-point mark, but that 3-minute mark? What do y'all? And because we got to talking about this at the Brooks Deshler game too. You know, it's winding down. It's about 3 minutes, and Deshler's getting really deliberate. They kind of did the same to Brooks that you guys did to them, and it's hard to kind of know when you start hitting them. You know.
And you got to decide too. I believe if there's 2.5 minutes, like in that game, and you're sitting on needing to foul 2 or 3 times, I think you got to make a decision to go ahead and get some of those under your belt. Maybe get it closer to 4. Maybe then it's you can play harder defense and kind of force the officials to make a call or not. And maybe you get a steal or
Blake
take the
team
ball
was
away.
so good at it. Like, you had to hit them, but they also hit free throws too.
Yeah, and we would do it. Listen, I'll tell you, we would do it some games with 5 or 6 minutes left to go in the game.
Yes.
But I think on the other side of it, it all comes back to practice and game situations. You need to, once you get in the season, you need to take the last 10, 15 minutes of every practice and practice game situations And that's something that's got to be practiced. You know,
It is.
if you're in an area game, you got to know the scouting report. All right, we get to this situation. This is the kid we want to foul. This is the kid we don't want to foul this kid. You know, we're gonna try. Maybe we've got a trap in defense. We're gonna run this for 30, 45 seconds, then foul. But that leads us into another topic that we hadn't talked about, and I want to get Coach Bryant's thoughts on it: the shot clock.
Everybody loves the shot clock, and I'm not totally against it, but I'm one of these guys to where, and we do control the pace sometimes, but in the past we're shooting it or turning it over in 35 seconds. We're going to have somebody to run it.
Yeah.
I think in the officials nowadays, there's a lot to worry about in the game. Now you're giving them something else. Hey, did the ball graze the rim? Did it not graze the rim? And I know everybody sells it on, hey, we're preparing our kids to go to college. I had an opportunity to play college basketball, and I asked somebody the other day, did I play with a shot clock? And I did, but at the same time, I don't remember it being a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, and you see these clips on the internet of this team held the ball. Well, anytime you see that, the other team's standing in the zone. So to me, if you don't want the team to control the pace, control the tempo, go out and guard them.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's you got situations like you mentioned where as a coach you're going to be able to work on different stuff, and it might be enjoyable as a coach, but I really don't think it's going to change the game that much. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. You watch most high school games, a shot's going up within 30 or 35 seconds. It is. And I'll be the first to admit, and we did a lot of it. I hate to see teams pull the ball out with 4 or 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
But I did it. I'll be the first to admit, playing within the rules. I just think that, like you said, the logistics of it, that's one thing. The other side of it is we have to look at the skill level, which has gotten a lot better. Mm-hmm. But, we're going to ask kids to now, something else that has to be going through their mind is the shot clock and where we're at in the shot clock. Is this a good shot at this point in the shot clock? We've got a kid with the ball at the top of the key who, can't dribble with his weak hand with 5 seconds on the shot clock. What kind of quality of basketball is that going to look like? So I think if it does go that direction, which it might happen, I think coaches are going to have to change the way they coach. I really do. I think
where it comes in the biggest part, the final 3 minutes.
Yes.
I don't think from 29 minutes on, I don't think the game will be any different.
Yeah.
When the shot clock enters in high school, that's where you're going to see the difference is the final 3 minutes of the game. And like you said, you're playing within the rules of the game now. When I was coaching girls and we played Donnie Roberts and Red Bay, they may start doing a mid-third.
Oh, yeah.
You felt like if you were down 6, you were down 16. Like, they were so methodical, but they were so good at it. Like, and they were so disciplined. Like, you're just not turning them over, which, again, we kind of went down a rabbit hole, but I thought you did an awesome job.
We want to get to the Central because
but first off, it was only 25 years ago when you played at Jacksonville State, so they did have a shot clock. But the late, great Wayne Bracey, who I played for at Deshler, if we were up 6-2 in the first quarter, we had a play called ice. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sitting there with Corey Donnelly, Scott Thompson, Harvey Summerhill, a bunch of dudes, they could score the basketball and play college basketball like Coach Bryant did. But that was just kind of within the rules. I mean, and he forced teams to come out and guard them and put the pressure on. But I think from a fan's perspective too, it's not as enjoyable. If you're going to pay money to go see a game, you want to see. And plus, I think it takes away some coaching. I think better coaches can be identified with having it. They have to coach more possessions. They have to coach different things that they're having to teach their players to be aware of and do. So I think it kind of separates, not just the X's and O's and Johnny's and the Joes, but the coaches too. So I think it would really show who can coach at the high school level. I mean, I do know it's a money thing too. I mean, you got to pay another person to
Right.
keep that. You can't have the clock keeper keeping the shot clock too. So it is something. I think we could trial it in maybe area games or maybe
I think
as
they're
we
doing
move
it in the
into
Bracy
playoffs.
tournament. I think in the Christmas tournament there.
Yeah.
But let me just, and I know we want to get to Central. Let me throw this out there. So let's say we go a 30-second shot clock. So most teams, I mean, if I were still coaching, I'd say, all right, we're going to do some sort of soft zone press, and we're going to try to make them have the ball in the backcourt for 6 or 7 seconds. So when they cross the half-court line, now they're at, 23, 24 seconds. Well, then we've messed up the flow. There's no transition. There's no secondary into your offense. So then you have to – so now we're looking at 19, 20 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think they would take away the 10-second?
I think they would have to.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think it would be closer to 35, and you mentioned 30. I think 35
You think
would
it'd be 35?
a number
Yeah.
that high
Yeah.
schools would use.
And that might
I'm pretty
be better.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good number. But, again, we could talk about that
We could.
forever.
We
and
could.
I am a believer in the shot clock. I think we should have it. I coached AAU, and we had it. And
Yeah.
it didn't seem, like Coach Hill mentioned, it didn't seem to really matter until the
those
end of the
final
game.
minutes.
And then we might have used more of that shot clock if we had
Yeah.
a 2 or 3 possession lead, something that you guys didn't have at Deshler until that fourth quarter. I mean, you really turned it on, outscoring them 23-11 in that quarter. Just talk about some guys on your team. I know we mentioned Hanback and a few others, but just talk about the team that you have and that fourth quarter at Deshler.
Deshler came out really hot that night, and we were able to chip away and actually hit a 3 at the buzzer at the end of half to go up. I believe it was 7 at the half. And we talked about at halftime, hey, if we can get it to the fourth quarter, just be within striking distance. We don't have to be in the lead. Just 3-4 minutes to play here. Let's be within striking distance. I think we have a chance. And Bryant Hanback had a big night. He hit a couple of threes early in the third, give us some momentum, kind of got the crowd involved. Jackson Brewer was really good on the glass with some putbacks and making plays. And I thought we did a decent job on defense. And we didn't give up a lot of second and third opportunities to them. We was able to make them hopefully make tough shots, make them over contested hand. We didn't foul a lot. So I just our guys believed in themselves, and they played really hard down the stretch and was able to pull out a tough one.
Was it the 3 at the end, down 10? It happened in the Brooks game too. Gorley makes a 3, and all of a sudden it's a 5-point game, and they got a little momentum. But your teams, including when they went to Hatton, hadn't started as well in the first half. But you guys, after that 3, you outscored Deshler 38-24 in the second half to win by 7, I think.
Right. It was, like you said, that's one thing we've been talking about. We have not started games good, and we're going to have to do that better Tuesday night at Wilson because they're playing with a lot of confidence, and we've got to get off to better starts. It seems like we're starting slow and digging ourselves a little bit of a hole each night. But, when the momentum swung our way, and I think our kids picked up more confidence and just really played well down the stretch.
Did you feel like, and we were talking about this, y'all were down to Hatton, I think, by, 8? Maybe
It was
first half?
12-2 to start the game off.
Okay, I didn't realize it even got to that. To me, all right, you've got a Hatton team who I think they're talented and athletic, but probably as of right now are viewed as the last. You played Deshler, got a big win. Then you've got, I'm thinking of a sandwich here. You've got the huge win. You've got probably who your kids view as, we'll probably beat them. And then you've got on the other side of that, huge rivalry game. So I guess what I'm saying is, to me, and I told Scott this the other night, I was like, man, that's a huge trap game
really
because
is.
their guys are like, well, if we can beat Deshler, I guarantee you we're going to beat Hatton. Then we're going to go over there to Wilson.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like moving forward? What's your guys' mindset? Obviously, I know there's got to be a lot of excitement, but we talk a lot about in coaching how difficult it is to, you got to love them, you got to encourage them, you got to beat them up some, you got to be tough on them. It's so hard to find that perfect balance that you're looking for and have your guys ready moving forward and not be too high, but you do want them to be confident. You want them to believe, but you don't want to be so beat down so low, we can't do this. And that happy medium is always so hard to
It's hard
to
like,
get.
And we told them the other day, hey, you can't get too big for your britches right now.
Well, yeah.
You know, like hey, it's a big win, but hey, there's still a long season ahead.
Yeah.
You don't want to play your best basketball right now.
Right.
And like you said, along the lines of the trap game, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all were the same way. Practice for me, I get more on edge.
You do.
Little stuff sets me off. And I told our assistant coaches after practice Thursday, I said, I ain't got a good feeling about this game tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't think our people, not our kids, but some other people, hey, I'm proud y'all got this game before Wilson. I said, hey,
Yes.
but this is an area game now. We can't
Right.
afford to go win a big one at Deshler and drop a home game to Hatton.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge game. And
Well, all those things I just named too. I mean, this may sound crazy, but I don't think a lot of people following you give a lot of merit.
no,
There's a lot of context there as coaches that you're really thinking about that, well, how did that happen? How did that team beat them? Well,
right.
if you've done it, you know.
And a lot of it's matchups, I think.
Yes.
Like, I mean, going into the Hatton game, and then when we started the game off, I thought they matched up pretty well with us. They were
Yeah.
really athletic.
Right.
They give us some problems on the boards a little
Yeah.
bit. They made some shots early. My buddy Justin Henley said they hadn't shot it real well this year, and I think they made 4 threes in the first quarter.
Correct.
And then they got a little confidence going, and everybody I talked to said it was the best game they played all year.
Well,
so,
to me, it goes to the parity. We've talked about it on this show before. I told them when I was coaching girls, I felt like those elite teams, like they never really got upset.
right.
But in boys, the parity is if you have a bad shooting night and the other team shoots it well, you can forget the records.
You really can.
I mean, there's no.
And I've heard y'all mention it on the show. This area is going to be brutal.
It is, yes.
It really is. I
Yes.
mean, and I think y'all mentioned it on the last show, whoever's in the 4 or 5 game is going to have a chance and
Correct.
against that 1 seed. Like you said, you have a bad night,
Yeah.
and that 2-3 game's going to be brutal as well. There's going to be
It's a reward
There's gonna be
to
some
get
teams
to have it
going
at your
home
home,
that
but
could
outside of
possibly
that,
go to Walsh.
I mean,
Well, you talk about it. I'm not really sure about this stat, but in the matchup, particularly against Deshler, I think y'all have traded wins on home floors quite a bit. I know I've seen Deshler beat you at Central, and
seems like
and-
you
and-
guys play better over there against them than you do playing them at home.
Coach Pounders may not let me back into Bracey, but I think it helps us playing at Christmas a little bit.
Yeah.
And our people don't like it, but we go play multiple times during the year, so we're used to that
Depth
the
perception.
dome and the depth perception of it. I think that helps us, but honestly, and I guess this is a secret or not a secret, people that play us, we play better when the game goes like this.
Yeah.
It's those teams when it gets in the half court and beat
Right.
on us a little bit where we struggle sometimes. So, but it's always fun to go over there and play.
Let's finish this segment up talking about Wilson in particular. Well, and kind of all of us. Let's all kind of.
Before we get to that, though, talk about like your roster. Talk about some of the guys for our viewers and listeners that don't know Central, but they look up and see y'all are at the top of Area 14 and 4A. Talk about who are the dudes on this team, and shout out their names for them.
Jackson Brewer is a senior post player for us. Played for this is his 3rd season. He's averaging 16 points, probably 8 rebounds a game. He's really athletic. He can score it in the past. He's always been a junk basket kind of guy, but he's coming into his own a little bit this year. We need him to score and be a leader. I really thought last year we struggled a little bit, but Bryant Hanback blew his ACL in the next to last football game, and he's just an energy guy, and he's averaging 12 a game right now, and he's a great defender. He's strong, but he's just a winner. And he plays really hard. He brings energy to us that I didn't feel like we had last year.
When was the last time that Central did not have a handback playing?
That's what I was thinking.
This is going to be the last one.
Okay.
But it's been
I mean, what do we seriously 8
it's
years?
probably 8 years, yeah.
And every one of them are what you described.
Yes.
Like as an
Competitors.
opposing coach, like
Hard
I couldn't
nose.
tell you one of their first names, but I can tell you their
Dalton's the
last
one
name.
that comes to my mind.
Dalton was-
number
Yeah.
0.
And I'll tell you a thing about Bryant that I was impressed with last year is I guess you guys are probably playing Rogers, but he's torn his ACL. He's out for the year. And I see him on the bench over there, and he's not sulking. He's not feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah.
timeout, he's the first one up,
Right.
Telling the guys good job. He was a leader last year for him with a torn ACL. So
Right.
it's no shock that he's having the year he's having this year.
It is, and just his energy just makes us a totally different team.
Yeah.
And just some other guys, our point guard, Dallin Dorsett, he's also a senior. We got 7 seniors, so I mean we got some experienced guys, and he don't score a lot of points, but he does a great job running the team. He's a defender and he's a gamer. Like in practice, he's a little bit frustrating sometimes, but in the games, he's all over the place. He anticipates really well. Cole Wilcoxon's a junior. He struggled a little bit last year as a sophomore. I thought the speed of the game and the physicalness of the game got to him a little bit. But this year he's averaging 11 a game and is playing really well. He's a really good passer. And Broly Cole's the other senior post guy for us. And his shot's struggling a little bit right now, but he's a diamond in the rough for us. If he comes on and plays the way he did at the end of the season last year, he can really, really help us. So
Probably such a big bonus. It's, I'm sure, stunt going through it, but you didn't have Hanback last year. They didn't have Hanback. They're used to having that guy.
Right.
So now we go through a whole season without that dude. We're learning how to be a little bit more assertive, grow our game, and then then we get him plugged back in next year, and you mix that with the growth of last season and throw him in there. Well, then all of a sudden it feels probably like a completely different team, even though it might not have changed a ton. Just those small little details, I feel like, can bring a whole different feel to your season.
it really can. And just the intensity of things and the energy just changes
Right.
the whole feel. Because sometimes you got a pretty good team, but they're kind of timid, kind of shy, not very
Well,
vocal.
sometimes you're just missing that. There's a lot of good teams that are missing that one dude.
Right.
There's a lot of teams that you're like, man, if you plug in one dude with them, they go from 500 to 10 games over 500.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of good complementary pieces, and people that play hard, they defend, and maybe one night they hit some shots and they can get some wins, but maybe they can't do it every night of the season. But you take that one guy that can go be that dude for them, and score 30 points against Deshler. Or score,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how many games last year you think you have a dude you plug in that can score 30? It changes the complexion of your team
And
just
just
like
gives
that.
gives you a little depth too. If
And
you had him
confidence.
last year, and just a guy that you can come in and play, and that's one thing that's helped us a little bit this year. A couple more guys, Clayton Reynolds. He played on the B team 2 years ago and decided he didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
You get that a lot in smaller
You do.
schools, and he came back out this year. Like, Coach, hey, I want to play. And if he would have stuck with it, I mean, he's really helping us off the bench 10, 12 minutes a game.
Yeah.
He rolled his ankle in the Deshler game, but hopefully he's going to be all right. But he's really helped us and gave us a body off the bench. And another kid the other night in the Hatton game who hasn't played a lot, Logan Parrish, we get in foul trouble in the first half. And I've always been one of these guys, kind of when they get their second foul,
Pull
kind of pull them and they're done. And we were just struggling, and Jackson got his second foul, and he's out. And I was like, he's got to go back. And we
Yeah.
put him back, and 2 minutes later he picks up his third, and we got Logan out there, and he ended up with 7 points. And he played the whole third quarter because
Yeah.
I didn't start Jackson in the second half. It was just a big boost for us. So
Right.
hopefully that gives him confidence.
Yeah.
And another kid that we can rely on here when we get further down the road.
Right.
We'll talk about the first of all, before we let you go, just talk about how special that Central Wilson rivalry is. And I'm still not sure on my pick. So, what is the key to the game going to be?
Yeah, listen. When you row your boat into Zip City to try to go 3-0, I mean, let's
Yeah.
hear it. I can't wait to hear it because I believe if you guys can get out 3-0, you really take a stranglehold.
Kind of a commanding
on,
lead.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that would be huge. And I don't mind saying it. I consider you guys the favorite to win the game, even though the records, may not reflect it. I mean, you've only lost one. I think they've only lost maybe two.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
It'll be a tough atmosphere. It's always a big crowd in that game. We're close by, big rivalry. It's always a fun game to play in and coach in. The one challenge, I think they're playing with a lot of confidence
They
right
are.
now.
They
I
are.
think they're shooting the ball really well. looking at it, I think we're going to have to really defend at a high level.
Yeah.
I think if we can take away the 3-ball, they like to space you out and drive those gaps. I honestly think which team doesn't get in foul trouble? Because last year's games were battles each time, and knock on wood, I think Braxton Glaze got in foul trouble in 2 of them, and it played to our favor. So if it flips the other way, which I hope it don't, I think it's how well can we defend them? Can we take away the 3-ball, and can we keep them in front of us? But it should be a great game, and I wish it was at Central because somebody's going to make some money.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, I'm excited. I would like to. Maybe that can be one that we can get to and not have to watch it in FHS. I think you're both, like you said, I think you're evenly matched. And it kind of goes back to even talking about the Florence Muscle Shoals game. How kids handle that environment.
Yep.
Like, you know, and at the end of the day, people forget this, but we're dealing with teenagers. And there's not a lot of consistency with teenagers and their emotions and their hormones and everything that's going on. I know that sounds crazy, but that is the cold, hard truth.
Oh, it is.
How they are feeling that day, how they respond to that other student section. I mean, those are things that play a big deal into it.
I think it'd be which team can respond to a little adversity.
Yeah.
You know, it's basketball to me is a game of runs.
Correct.
Is can you just weather those storms even in that game, and maybe we need to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
Because I think with them playing with so much confidence, if we let them get out to a hot start, they're just going to pick up
Maybe
more
too
confidence.
big of a hole to dig. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be a huge game. Should be a very fun game as well.
Well, you just said it, and y'all in this area, there's going to be adversity this year. There's going to be.
Oh, it
You're
is.
not going to make it through this area without some battle scars. Whoever comes out on top,
Right.
and it's going to shock me if we end up with a team undefeated coming out of this area, just because it's so competitive. So,
Yeah.
Coach, best of luck to you. It's
I
going to be a
appreciate
fun
you
one.
guys.
And we
Yeah, it
appreciate
was
you
a good
coming on,
segment.
and it was.
Yes, we want to thank Josh Bryant for joining us live in studio tonight. I think you're in your 15th season, maybe 14 or 15. And so I don't expect you to remember that since you couldn't remember
I
if you
think,
had a
it's
shot clock.
I think
but
it's my 12th at Central, but I'm getting on up there in the
He's
years.
the dean of boys basketball coaches in Lauderdale County, I
He
believe.
is.
Well, we look forward to making our game picks in our next segment of the show. So now we're going to call our Week 4 Girls Player of the Week, and this girl could have been Player of the Week probably any of the previous weeks.
Every week.
It's Mars Hill freshman Belle Hill, guys.
Well, she's she's been a standout player in the Shoals since her 7th grade year. She's, already got D1 offers. You know, she's going places, and she's got Mars Hill to where they're one of the top girls teams in the state. You know, they've already won a state championship, runner-up last year. I know they're aiming for a state championship again this year. So she's a phenomenal young player with a lot of potential to get even better.
Yeah, to me, she's just a matchup nightmare. When I coached girls, Alley Creek Cruz at Lauderdale County was very similar to that. To where, like, for one, they're tall, they're strong, so you're sitting there and you're like, well, all right, we'll put a guard on her, play her on the perimeter. Well, that guard can guard a little bit on the perimeter, but then they're going to take that guard and they're going to put Bell on the block, and that guard can't guard on the perimeter. Well, then I'm going to put a big girl on her. Well, then my big girl could not guard that girl on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's the issues I feel like she brings, and that's what makes her so good. Like, you hear so many people talk about a 3-level player. She is, like, and not only is she that, but she's that with a very strong body. She's a very has a very physical presence. You can tell that she's just such a tough matchup. Very seldomly, I'm not saying there's nobody out there, but very seldomly do most schools have somebody that can go match up with that type of girl. And she seems like a really good kid too. Very humble
And where she's really improved, last year I saw with her from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, was her ability to get other people involved because everybody's keen on her. Mars Hill's got a good team. It's not just her. They've got other good players. And as the season went on last year, she started doing a much better job of finding the open teammate because everybody was keen on her. And that just makes her, an even more dangerous player. So Excited to get to see her play throughout the course of this season.
Well, without further ado, let's get our Week 4 Player of the Week on the phone.
Hello?
Hello, Belle.
Hey.
This is Scott Whittle with the Shoals Triple Threat Podcast. I'm here with Coach Blake Prestige and Coach David Hill. And we want to congratulate you on being selected our Week 4 Miami Ice Player of the Week.
Thank you.
So we're gonna ask you what's it like, coming back this season after, getting to that Birmingham run that you went on last year. How's it been for you guys so far this season, and what kind of goals have you guys set for yourself?
Well, we had to use it as fuel because we were not satisfied last year, and we're wanting to make it back again this year.
And it looks like you guys have quite the team that could do it. What have you set any goals for yourself personally and as a team?
As a team, we want to make it back to the state championship, and personally, I just want to make my team better.
Hey, Bill, it's Blake Prestige here. You're obviously a great player. Everybody knows that. But talk about the work that you put in so far, the work that you have put in to get to where you are now. In the summertime, how many shots do you take in the summertime? Just go through your routine and what all you do.
You're cutting out. I'm sorry.
Hey, I said, you're obviously a great player. Everybody's seen you play and knows that. But talk about the work that you put in the off season to get to where you are now.
So during the summer, we have team workouts, but on my own, lift, and I do plyometrics, and I do conditioning. And as far as basketball goes, I play AAU all summer. We travel all over, and we've been to Louisville, Chicago, Texas, and that's North Carolina, South Carolina.
That's great. Well, that's definitely the work that it takes. I know you guys are in 3A this year, and I know you guys have your sights set on that state championship. There's another pretty good 3A girls team in Lauderdale County in this area. Do y'all talk about them a lot?
We haven't really brought them up yet, but it's going to be tough at Waterloo.
Definitely a team that y'all are keying on. Well, listen, best of luck to you this season, and we'll be cheering for you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Belle, this is David Hill. Talk to me about the dynamic of your grandmother becoming your head coach. I remember your mother playing when I was in school. I am your uncle's age and played against him. But talk to me about, I know you got a really competitive family and basketball means a lot. Talk to me about that dynamic of having your grandmother kind of slide over one more seat and become the head coach.
Well, my mom has to keep my grandmother calm, but but I mean it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't feel each other. I'm gonna lie.
All right. When everybody's worked up, who's the one person in your family that you go to like, look, you got to get them to calm down?
I normally have to talk to my brother.
What about granddad? Does he keep them in line? Is he one that kind of gets everybody calm, or?
Yeah, he usually just subject. He's like.
Well, I know that's a cool thing and a good thing to do. We're excited to watch you. You're a special player. To me, I was just bragging on you about how I feel like you're so good on the perimeter, but as well as on the inside. And Coach Prestige was really talking about, how well you've done at getting everybody involved. And we're excited to watch you guys progress through the year. And that game that he's talking about with Lauderdale County, that's another one we are, as fans and kind of somebody that's covering local, we're excited to see that game And we wish you luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Belle. That was Belle Hill, our player of the week for week 4. And they got a big week coming up. They're going to travel to Austin and play. I mean, they've got several big name schools. They've
Yeah.
been Huntsville twice, Scottsboro.
Right.
They'll follow that up on Friday night. They'll host Sheffield, and then they turn right around and play Madison Academy. So a busy week
wow.
for Coach Rutherford and our player of the week, Belle Hill. We're happy to be joined now by Loretto Lady Mustangs coach Ashley Rutledge. Coach Rutledge, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Well, you guys we've started to talk about Loretto basketball. We felt like not only are you deserving, but the quality of play you guys have both on the girls and boys side warranted that. And so with our Shoals Triple Threat podcast, we decided to talk a little bit about Mustangs basketball, and we're happy to talk about Lady Mustangs basketball. How's the season going so far? I know you guys got off to a good start and then lost a tough one in overtime to Richland, and then Lincoln County rebound well against your alma mater, Lawrence County. Talk about the early half of the season so far.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, we're really excited about this season. For the boys team and girls team, we're led by 2 good groups of seniors. Before the season, we had one of our starters break her hand, unfortunately, Jessie Chance, who's a junior. So, of course, that affected us a little bit, and losing to Richland in overtime was tough. They have a great program, but we really struggled in the first half of that game. Then we caught Lincoln County on the road, and they're one of the better teams too. They have 3 kids who've signed for college, and very physical team, can shoot the ball well. So lost by 5 there, but I thought we played well. And then we really 20 plus. So for us, that was a great response. The girls felt good about beating the rival school, and we just kind of spearheaded us getting more excited for the next game, which is tomorrow at Moore County. And this is one of the better single A schools in the state.
Coach, talk about, girls basketball in Tennessee is just different. It is. And that's why when I was coaching, we would try to come up there and play as much as possible. But, and it's not just you guys. Summertown's really good year in, year out. Lawrence County's good year in, year out. I got to coach some really good teams, some really talented teams. I'll never forget one night we played a game right after we played you guys, and the comment was made, man, that's one of the best girls basketball teams I've seen in a long time. And I said, well, we just got beat by 21 last night to Loretta. So talk about how special girls basketball is in Lawrence County and in the state of Tennessee.
Sure. Well, and I'll say your groups are always tough too. So we had some good battles for sure. But I think it may sound a little cliche, but Pat Summitt's women's basketball in Tennessee. One of the best coaches, and growing up, every little girl has seen Tennessee Lady Vols, and they strive to just play some great basketball. Fundamentals are really big in Tennessee for girls, and I think that's kind of the difference in Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama may be a little more physical, but I think Tennessee girls are typically more fundamental. I don't know if you think that's a fair assessment, because I
do. I agree with that, actually. I do, yeah.
Yeah. So, we have some great ball teams around here: Summertown, Lawrence County, Wayne County, Richland. Just we're all within a reach of each other. Tennessee ball, so it's always a dogfight about every night. Anytime you match these teams up.
Yeah, and I know everyone. Allie Weathers is a great young player for you. Talk about her, then talk about some other kids on your team that are having a solid season for you.
Okay. Did you you kind of broke up at first? What did you say at the start?
I said, talk about Allie Weathers and the season she's having, and then some other players on your team that are having a strong season for you as well.
Oh, sure. Allie Weathers, she's easy to talk about because she does so many things well. If you look at that sheet, when she's done with a game, she's steeled it all up. The past 2 games, she's had 20 plus points and 15 rebounds in both games. Stats, assists, she just has high level IQ, and she's very effective and efficient. She's a good leader for us. We also, in our group, we have Libby Sanders, who hit 6 threes the other night at Lawrence County, and she had 20 points. So she played a big role. Libby, 2 years ago in postseason, I can't remember the name exactly of it, but she could not walk after the game. And so for all of season, she was in a wheelchair. And through some, doctor's visits and going to Dr. Lee in Muscle Shoals, she finally, I guess it was the summer, fall, she finally started coming around and walking and doing some physical therapy to get back with us. So it's so nice to see her out on the floor.
Absolutely.
Our other two great kids on and off the floor. And then, of course, Jessie Chance is hurt right now, but she's one of our 6-foot posts. Her sister, Raven Chance. A lot of people remember her.
Oh, I remember her all too well.
Yeah. And then we have a junior team who's not played. She's on the volleyball championship team, and she hasn't played since 8th grade. So we kind of talked her into playing, and she's played some big minutes for us, and that's Breely Winters. And then in our sophomore class, 2 of our starters are Sophie Weathers and Allie Augustine. They're cousins. One's a big post, and one is a very athletic guard. And they played a lot last year, so they're kind of into this year with some experience. And so we're excited to see that. Then, of course, we have 3 sophomores, Brindlin Snyder, Chloe Craig, Dayla McCandless. And then we have we only have 1 freshman this year, and her name's Kinley Sutts, and she'll have her first start on Monday. So she's been working really hard, and we're proud of her. And as a freshman and being the only freshman, she's done some really good things.
Hey, Coach, this is David Hill. I just wanted to ask you how it felt. You played at Lawrence County, is that correct?
Many moons ago.
How does it feel going back? And I know that's a big rival, big environment. How does that feel taking your teams back up to Lawrenceburg?
Yeah, it's always fun because it's a rival game. And, even I played at Lawrence County a very long time ago, and I had some good years and experience and a lot of good people to me. I had great teammates, but I've been at Loretta for 11 years, so I believe black and gold now, and there's just no question about it. I love being at Loretto. So anytime we can go to any of our rival schools on the road and have a big win, it's really exciting. The atmosphere there was almost like a postseason game or a tournament game. It was awesome.
Did you play for Mr. Joyner or Coach Joyner?
No, he left my freshman year.
Okay.
I went to his camps when I was a kid, so I do know Coach Joyner pretty well.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Y'all are having a great year, and I always love keeping up with your teams and Coach Tip's teams as well. Y'all are both super talented and well coached, and we're glad to have you on tonight.
Coach, this is Scott Whittle.
Sorry, it's breaking up a little bit again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There we go.
So before we let you go, is there a coach? I know you mentioned Pat Summit. Is there somebody, maybe it's Gino or someone in the girls' side of basketball? It doesn't have to be girls' side. Is there someone that you kind of look at that you try to model your style from a coaching standpoint?
There's a lot of coaches I really like to watch, but I mean, Pat Summit's at the very top. I wish he was still in it. Of course, I love the way Gino coaches, and I know as a Lady Vols fan, a lot of people would disagree with me, but I respect the job he does. I like to listen to his post-interview talks and hear him talk about his teams. He's just a very tough coach, and that's why he's so successful. Dawn Staley, I like watching her stuff. She does a phenomenal job. So, and I'm excited about watching the new coach at Tennessee. She's doing a great job to start the year out.
Well, we want to thank you, one, for coming on the show tonight and joining us and talking girls hoops. And we want to wish you guys the best of luck as you travel to Lynchburg tomorrow to play Moore County. And good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. It's so good to talk to you two. Y'all do a great job, and I miss going head to head with both of you.
I don't miss it. I don't miss it, Coach. I can say that.
I know. You always have some great teams.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I appreciate y'all having us. And go Mustangs!
Thank you.
Lady Mustangs coach Ashley Rutledge. Yeah, I mean, she's had good players, but obviously we talked about having good players helps. But which one of y'all has the better record against her?
That's definitely not me. We never beat Loretta.
Never.
Never.
I think we played them 4 times and we were able to win. That was pre-Weathers. We
weather.
went up there. I think she was in 8th grade, so they were playing at South Lawrence, and we go up there and win on the road in the barn. And I'm younger, and probably more arrogant. And they're like, yeah, y'all won, but I promise you, if that Weathers girl would have been playing as an 8th grader, and I'm just like, yeah, 8th grader, yeah, she would have made a huge difference. She was a great player, and but they have that new gymnasium now, which is super nice. But the barn was always. It was a good environment. It was fun. They would turn the lights off, spotlight on, and just like we're talking about with Tennessee, everybody's passionate about basketball.
If you've never been, which they don't play in the barn anymore, but just the atmosphere up there, Summertown's another place. If you've never witnessed a game in Summertown, Tennessee, especially if they're playing somebody like Loretta, I mean, it's like Hoosiers. It is.
So we
special.
played. I was determined, again, we were playing Lauderdale County. I wanted to play all the good teams. And we played Loretta, and then I'm like, well, we're going to go to Summertown. Summertown they were beating, I think they won back-to-back. So we go and we play. They're like, yeah, y'all coming up here. We go. It's Christmas. We play like Wayne County around 12 or 1, and then we play Summertown girls later that night. Summertown had not played. We're at Summertown, which like you said, it's like Hoosiers. And I swear, like, you have a wooden wall that goes all the way around the facility, and then your bench is like where you're at. And when you stand up, you're standing on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And, Summertown just pounded us. They were so good. I mean, you go up there, like, it's kind of hats off to anybody that does it. Like, you respect people that go up there because they're going up there to play really good competition. And a lot of times you may know that, hey, we're probably not going to win this, or we might not win this, or you may take a team up there and think, well, yeah, I know we can compete with them. Regardless, it's never a cupcake. There's no show up and wins up there.
And we would go up there. I mean, we went to Loretta, we went to Lawrence County, we went to Summertown, and one of the big reasons was for atmosphere. I mean, so we would be battle tested because you're not going to play in an atmosphere like you're going to sit up there. I'm talking about Tuesday night regular season game. Lawrence County's gym is packed.
Turning people away at the door.
Yes, everybody's there. So it's good for the kids, and it's high-quality basketball. It is girls and boys, it's highly skilled basketball. It's fundamentals. I mean, those kids are born ready to compete, and they take basketball serious, And I'll tell you this, I'll tell this funny story. Coach Troy Pettis told me this story. So this is right when COVID just starts. He's riding up through Summertown, going to his hunting lease. He passes an outdoor basketball court in Summertown. This is right at the start of COVID. Everybody's sort of panicking, not knowing what to do. And he said, Prestige, that court was, I bet there was 25 girls out there on that court playing pickup ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way they are up there. And that's why the quality of their basketball is so good. It's.
And I think their coach, I don't know that she may have changed now, but I think her and Ashley were teammates, maybe either in high school or at Freed-Hardman.
Yeah.
She also,
Summertown has a new coach now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It used to be Ashley also coached Abby Stutz, who at Mars Hill, who helped me, and now is the girls' coach at Freed-Hardman.
And Ashley was at Mars Hill for a time also.
Ashley,
right?
Yes.
And shout out to Abby, too, there, I think. Freed-Hardman, she's the Freed-Hardman head girls' coach. I think they're 14-0.
Wow.
Or 13-0. They're off to a great start. And then her brother's the boys' coach. So that's a cool thing about kind of the fraternity here in coaching is you're all kind of, you do have rivals, and that, but you really all support one another too and want to see each other do well.
You guys aren't far either. Might as well play that game. You guys aren't far from.
Loretta's 10-minute drive from our campus. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for us.
Blake Prestige undefeated against Loretta. We need to get that game on the schedule again. It's too late.
It's too late.
Too late for Blake Prestige. He's undefeated. Wait.
I'm defeated.
He's defeated against now the Loretto Lady Mustangs and Jalen Chandler.
Yes. Every girls team in the state of Tennessee, I don't think we ever beat one. So, yeah. And Jalen Chandler.
We will not do our power rankings this week, guys. There's not a lot of shift in the teams. I think we'd probably elevate Central if we moved anybody up. We got to talk to Josh Bryant tonight. We'd probably have them in there, but we're going to skip it for this week and bring it back next week once we see a few more of these games unfold.
Do you care if we give some shout-outs real quick for those stat sheets?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy, if you could get that to where we could read it. We had a lot of coaches that have reached out and really plugged their kids, and that's something we really wanted to do. And we had Calvin, obviously, who's our player of the week. You had Bryant Hanback at Central, had 27 against Deshler, 18 against Hatton. Jackson Brewer had 21 and 13 against Deshler, 16 against Hatton. Jovi Jackson, huge week as well, scored 20 against Central and then 20 against Brooks and a huge bounce back win. The Warriors of Wilson, the guys had Logan Rich, finished close to a double-double in both games, 16 and 10 and then 10 and 9 on Friday. Blaq Taylor, that's another name we keep hearing a lot, does some phenomenal things of Colbert County. He had 30 and 18 and has scored at least 17 points in 9 of 10 games. It's impressive. Dane Morris, they go to Lindsay Lane, got a big win. They finished he had finished 23 and 30, and he's out of Waterloo. If I saw correctly, I think I saw he got a dunk this week.
Wow.
So it was big. On the girls' side, having a hard time, or excuse me, we're still on the boys' side. Blake, give me an assist there on that top left corner.
We got
I can't see it from here.
Noah Lemay. He's averaging 15 points per game. He's from Lexington.
Same for Will White.
And then Will White's averaging 14, 8 rebounds per game. So both those guys off to a hot start. And then on the girls' side, we just mentioned her, Allie Weathers, had 20 points and 15 rebounds against Lawrence County. 27 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists in their second game this week. So Coach was right. She is stuffing that stat sheet. And then let's give a shout-out to Lexington's girls right here, but we're going to talk about Charlie Turner. She averaged double digits, and including an 18-point performance against Sulligent. But Lexington's girls, I watched them play live against Lauderdale County Tuesday night, and at the start of the game, I was thinking, well, Lauderdale County's girls just aren't playing well. And then as the game went on, I thought, no, Lexington's girls have improved and gotten better. And then they go on the road Friday night to Wilson and really controlled that entire game. I think they had almost a 20-point lead at halftime. So Lexington's girls are definitely trending in the right direction.
Had that good game Tuesday, like you're talking about. Thursday, they crushed Lindsay Lane.
Yeah.
Friday, beat a good Wilson team. Saturday, beat a good Sulligent team. They're trending.
And from Central, we've got Lillian Moore. She had 20 points this week, career high for her. Good job, Lillian.
Miss Isla Hardy, freshman, had 19. I think Wilson's had a lot of injuries. Also a really young team. Or excuse me, Central. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Central's had a lot of injuries and really young team, but Coach Drew Murphy, and they're doing a good job out there. And we'll finish it up with Wilson. Sadie Bonds averaged 12.3 points per game this past week through 3 area games. And Anna Simone averaged 10.3 and had 6 rebounds also. Appreciate all the coaches reaching out on that.
Absolutely.
They're giving us a lot of information to kind of be able to look at. And again, that helps us be able to take their kids and post and get them out, and really appreciate that.
Well, let's get to the fun part.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Some picks. And we have to say, because, he's sitting over here, and I know he wants us to mention this, Scott is leading the season total on the pick'em, but
it's close.
I think it's
tied, close. It's a long season, and I'm coming for you. No, it's not tied.
Okay.
Last week you were 10-2. I was 10-2.
I was
Blake
9-3.
was 9-3, even though he was the only one that picked Deshler to beat Brooks on the boys' side. But week 1, I was 2-0. Y'all split. So
Okay.
We got a little 1-game lead on you.
Yeah.
Going into this week. And we got some tough games. It's going to be a little,
We do
a little
have
more
some tough
difficult.
games.
We've now got, seeing some of these teams play, it can influence you on who to pick in those games. But great pick on the Lexington girls going on the road to beat Wilson. But recapping, 10-2 overall, now 11-3, 9-3 last week overall. 10-4, and I was 2-0 in week 1, so I got a 1-game lead on you and a couple game lead. So
big week.
Well, we're gonna start. We're gonna wait for our game of the week. Or we gonna
we'll
leave that for the
we'll
main
leave
event.
that for the last. We can start on Tuesday games. We got Sheffield at Colbert Heights. Go ahead, David.
Boys wise, I want to give them a shout out. They've really improved from game one to I saw them play Lexington last week. They have gotten a lot better. They had a big win against Covenant Christian. I have Sheffield boys and I have Sheffield girls as well. I have them both winning.
I know it's at Colbert Heights. That's a different place to go play.
Up on the mountain.
Not an easy place to go play. Girls side, I'm going the same. I'm going Sheffield. The boys side, Colbert Heights is off to a hot start.
They have, yes.
Yeah, we gotta give a shout out. They're off to a hot start.
Yes.
But I do think Sheffield is trending in the right direction. I think they're getting better. So I'm going with Dave. I'm going Sheffield in both those games as well.
Scott.
Well, this is a chance for you guys to catch up or get farther behind because I got Colbert Heights sweeping them.
Colbert Heights
Believe
girls
it or
and
not,
boys.
I do. I think I think you guys are going to get ahead of me, or I'm going to pull way ahead. But I got Colbert Heights. I've never picked against Sheffield. And being a Deshler guy, they were 4A when I was in school. It tells you how long ago it was.
I know.
I remember that.
I could not tell you. I would never. I can't believe I'm even picking against them, no matter who they're playing. But I got Colbert Heights in both games.
Okay.
Next, we're Muscle Shoals at Bob Jones. Gave y'all a message about this, but Caden Ricker that plays for Bob Jones, his mother is Andrea, and know their family real well, and grew up around them. He is signed with Murray State, so with Bob Jones, he's a really good player. On the boys' side, I've got Bob Jones winning that one. On the girls' side, I'm going with Muscle Shoals.
On the Muscle Shoals girls are really playing well.
They are.
I know you got Hazel Green in 6A if they're not looking down the road, but their girls are really playing well. They've been impressive. Bob Jones, I know the last few years Bob Jones has been really good. They've got a rich tradition in girls and boys basketball there. I'm going Bob Jones in the girls game, and I'm going to have to go Bob Jones in the boys game as well. Bob Jones with a sweep.
I like Muscle Shoals' athleticism on the boys' side. I thought they really looked good early against Florence. I think Florence kind of imposed their will late in the second half to pull away and get that win. The best player on the floor will be Caden. He's one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
I think they
smooth.
got a steal at Murray State to get him, and I'm going with Bob Jones simply because they're playing at home. I think it'll be really close. On the girls' side, Mackenzie Sears.
Yeah.
I could say it over and over and over. When she's got the ball in her hand, good things happen. She picks up doubles. She knows how to make passes for teammates. And they got some good complement around the perimeter. I'll learn their names as we go this season, but number 10, number 15, both girls can shoot the ball from outside, handle it pretty good,
Right.
and defend. So I'm going to go with the girls from Muscle Shoals in that game.
Moves us to Tanner.
I'll
and
pick this
my
one
beloved
first because
Bears.
I know it's your Bears. In the girls' game, we just talked about Lexington. They have improved probably more than any team in our coverage area from the start of the season to this point. I think Lexington's girls are going to take care of business in that game pretty handedly. I think the boys' game, this is an area game, correct?
It is.
This is an area game. I think Coach Hunter Killen's probably going to be sending me an ugly text message. I think Tanner gets this one, but I think Lexington gets them later in the season. But I think Tanner gets this first one. I think Tanner's athleticism and speed is going to be the difference in the game. So I'm going Lexington in the girls' game, Tanner in the boys' game.
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, it's no surprise who you're going to pick, but
Correct.
I'm going with
Go Bears.
I'm going with my buddy David Hill. I think I messed up last week going against them. I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to take Lexington on both sides, both girls and boys.
Yeah, obviously I am too. But I will say this: I think I think the girls will be really big win. I think Tanner on paper has the better team, boys wise. Similar to Central and Deshler, though. I don't know. Lexington has always performed well against Tanner, and I think they will perform well Tuesday night. I'm going with the Bears And again, I bleed purple and gold. That's where I live and who pays the bills. And I got a lot of pride in them, but that's my choice. But let's move on down to 12-19. We got Waterloo at Tharptown.
Waterloo going to Tharptown
I
Thursday
have
night.
the Cougars 2-0.
I'm with you. I'm going with the Cougars 2-0. Waterloo's girls team playing pretty well this year. Their guys team's playing better too.
Yeah.
I got Waterloo in both those games.
I think Waterloo, I've always known they've got good girls athletes and programs, softball, whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know much about either one of these teams. I look forward to watching them. I'll try to pick up a couple of their games on the network during the week to see what they look like. But I'm going to take the girls in Waterloo in the first game, and I'm going with the Fighting Scott Joneses in the boys' game.
Another Scott Jones shutout.
There we go.
I'm gonna go with them to beat Tharptown at Tharptown.
Yes.
There we go. That moves us to Russellville at Florence
Friday night.
for Friday night, 12:20.
I think looking at the boys' side, Russellville's got a solid team,
They do.
but they're going to Florence. They're going to 7A Florence,
Yeah.
who has Jalen Chandler, by the way.
You
Who
said
I'm
you
not
was never picking against
I'm
them.
not. So I think Florence is going to be too much for Russellville in this one. Not to take anything away from Russellville. Hats off to Russellville for playing this game, because Russellville is going to do nothing but get better by going to play this game. I think Florence is going to be too much though, so I got Florence in the boys' game, and I'm going Florence in the girls' game as well. I know Coach Gross at Russellville does a great job. We got Coach Woods at Florence, who's in her first year taking over that program, doing a great job. So I'm taking Florence in both boys and girls.
I got the girls
Scott?
too in the game. They're real scrappy, kind of have the personality of their coach, or identity of their coach on the floor. They move the basketball. They can pressure you. They really jumped out on Muscle Shoals in that game, putting in the full court press. So I'm taking them, and no surprise, I'm taking Jalen Chandler and the Florence Falcons on the boys' side. But Coach Odom does a good job. He's not afraid to play these teams. He's already gone to Brooks and played. He's played Deshler, and he'll play anybody. He doesn't care. And it really helps, and it does pay off down the road. But I got Florence in a sweep.
I've got Florence boys, and I'm going to go with the Russellville Lady Tigers for the girls.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Go a little different there.
Fall
Which moves
farther
us
behind.
to Rogers at Lauderdale County.
Area game Friday night.
Big area game.
Big area game, especially on the boys' side.
Prime time.
I'm going to pick this one first, and I want to say this. I'm not just picking Rogers because that's my school. I really believe Rogers is going to win this game. I know they got beat Friday night at Colbert County. Colbert County shot the lights out. They shot a high percentage from the field. It was one of those nights. Rogers didn't shoot the ball well. A lot of things in the game sort of went their way. The ball didn't bounce their way a whole lot in the game. I think Rogers is a good team. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a tough game. Area games always are. I'm going with the Rogers boys to beat Lauderdale County at Lauderdale County Friday night. And on the girls' side, my heart is telling me pick the Lady Pirates. It is. But, I didn't know we were keeping up with these pick-em rankings throughout the year. So the competitor in me has to, go with who I think is going to win the game. And I still say Rogers girls, they're getting better. They're adapting to playing without Charlie Gale Ellis, and that's going to take time. They're getting better. But Lauderdale County's just, they're a different animal. They are. They're a great team. They're, have a good shot to go win a state championship. So I'm taking Lauderdale County in the girls' game.
We'll start with the girls. I'm going with Lauderdale County.
Yeah.
But shout out to Coach Pettis, and we were talking about with Coach Bryant too. When you lose your best player and your best scorer,
It's tough. It's tough.
I mean, we're not talking about college where you're bringing in another college recruited athlete. Like when a lot of times when, especially these smaller schools, you lose one, there's not just one behind you, and they're adapting and doing some good things and hammering away. Hate that she had that injury, but I'm going with Lauderdale County girls. Here's where I'm at with the boys game. I think that Lauderdale County was probably more skilled, maybe a little bit more athletic, But I think the physicality and the veteran leadership of Rogers will give them some problems. I'm going to lean toward with you on this one of Rogers pulling the upset at Lauderdale County. My only thinking for that is, again, I think the physicality and their big guy, I think, will be
Will Robertson.
That's right.
Number 22.
Yeah,
Correct.
Will Robertson.
Will be an issue for
He can
Lauderdale
shoot from
County.
outside too, man.
No, yeah, he's an
matchup-wise.
inside
Yeah.
outside player. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that will be difficult for Lauderdale County to match up with.
yeah.
But I do see that being a split. So I may pick it wrong this week. But I kind of see that being a 1-1 personally. What did you got, Scott?
Well, I've got the girls. I mean, Shyla Marks, our player of the week.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. Sarah Smith, just too much pressure they put on you. Losing your best player or not, I think even with her, it would be a better game.
Yeah.
But without her, I got to go with the girls
too
of
much.
Lauderdale County. But in the boys' side, they faced a kid like Rogers has when they played Brooks and R.J. Gorley. He can play inside
true.
out.
Yeah, it's true.
He can shoot and drive, and he can take it coast to coast. I think they're battle tested from having that game, and it's hard to go in there and win, man.
It
I'm
is.
going with Calvin Watkins, our player of the week, to get the dub for me.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of different picks here, so we could have
So
some
you're going
movement.
Lauderdale County in the boys'
I'm going
game.
Lauderdale County in the boys' game. I loved what I saw from them in person.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Bo Mitchell's back playing now, so they'll be at full complement there. But I just think they're playing with a lot of
regardless, they're
confidence.
two good teams, I feel like.
They are.
And they're at home, and that's my deciding factor. I mean, on paper, I mean, I think just being at home, that's the decision.
For
I'm going
me,
with
I
them.
felt like losing to Colbert County, Rogers has to come out kind of urgent
Backs
and
against
swinging.
the wall.
That's
Backs against
kinda
the wall. Yeah.
my thought. But again, I think they're both really good, and I could see that being
You
a
guys
split.
going to be at that game, or you got?
I don't know. I'd like to. That was something.
I will be at that game.
Blake, I don't know.
I will be at that game, yeah.
You get to. I know your son plays, and so you do see. But I told my wife I got in from hanging out. Scott and I were at the Brooks game, and I said, "Man, that was so much fun." I said, "I've not done that." I was like, either I've been in the gym watching my kids play, or teams that I coach, or the school that I'm covering. I said, I told her, I said, I had so much fun just going.
It
was a
is.
good atmosphere.
It
like
is.
I'm just showing up as a fan, or and just enjoying it and enjoying the atmosphere. And I've told you all a lot, man. When you get crowds with games that are really behind basketball and really behind their schools, there's nothing better
No.
than a packed gym, loud atmosphere, people hollering, and all of this is what I'm describing for a game of the week, Tuesday night.
But coach, before you get to that,
Yeah.
it was also courtside. We were sitting courtside.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you must really love high school basketball to talk about how much fun you had and sit courtside and
Yeah.
and turn me down to go see Bama and Creighton last night courtside. So
I think all in all, it's a testament to the love I have for my son, Solomon Hill, playing TVBA. But I knew that you'd be courtside, and I told my lovely wife, Heather Hill, on the way, I said, look, I am glad I'm getting to go watch Solomon, and he won his games this weekend. I said, but I'm not going to lie. I guarantee that he's going to be courtside, and I'm going to be really sick about this. And I said, I better be going back again. And he better know how much that I love him, because I really wanted to be in Tuscaloosa, sitting in those seats that I've never sat at and probably will not sit at unless you invite me to them again. So, Solomon, I love you a lot, and I told him I'd never miss your game. But if the opportunity presents itself again, I may have to catch the next TVBA game and just head on down to Tuscaloosa.
you could save $10 and come to Tuscaloosa.
There you go.
Which brings us to our game of the week. Coach, kick us off.
All right, let's go with the girls first.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's do this all the way around. I'll pick girls, you pick girls, you pick girls.
Okay.
I'm going with Team Blue in the girls' game. I think Coach Oakley coming off a loss to the Lady Bears. I think he's going to have his girls' attention. I think they're going to be ready to go. I think Central's banged up, but I'm going with the Lady Warriors. Coach Presage.
Yeah. I've watched this girls' game a lot both these teams have been in our area for the last 8 seasons, so I've seen this game a lot, and I'm telling you, it's a rivalry game. I mean, there's been years that Wilson's been really good, and Central hasn't had one of their stronger teams, and this game is competitive a lot. So I'm going with Wilson, but I'm going to say it's going to be closer than the experts think. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a hard physical game. I do think Wilson's going to respond. I think Wilson probably didn't show Lexington the respect they needed, in that game. That probably had a lot to do with that. I think Wilson's better than that score indicated, but I think Wilson's going to win this one, but I think it's going to be a tough game.
In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. I don't think it'll be very close, and not because, they won't the rivalry won't take, its course there, on the road there, but they're young. I like what Patrick Murphy does. I'm a fan of him as a coach. I think what he's done in volleyball, and I think down the road he gets things rolling there. But I just think Wilson at home, too much, and they'll be hungry after the loss, and I think they get it by double digits.
Well, y'all know where that leads us. We're going right into our boys' game. I'm struggling with my service. I was about to play some Ultimate Warrior theme music. I'm going with the hot Streak Warriors. I feel like they're shooting it really well. I feel like they're playing with a ton of confidence. I feel like the home court advantage and the confidence and their fast starts. I could see them coming out and jumping up on Central. I'm going with the home team. I'm going with the Warriors.
Yeah, all the stuff that you said though, David, when to start that, you said the hot start, the streaky. Central's doing that as well.
Let me give you more context. I think traditionally Central has kind of had the upper hand in this rivalry, boys wise. I really feel like it's turning for Wilson, and I think this is a really important time for Wilson to get them and get that kind of big rivalry win as they're having so much confidence and success and shooting the ball well and being at home.
Yeah.
And I'd say this, I think if it was at Central, I'd probably be going with Central. This is another one. Home court advantage is big, I feel like, in high school. Yeah. And if you can go get that road win, it's big. Not saying it's impossible, but I do feel like there is an advantage. And that's kind of what gives me the nod going toward Wilson.
Yeah. Last week in our game of the week on the boys' side, I picked Deshler, and I made the comment because they're going to have the best player on the floor. I don't know that they had the best player on the floor in the game. No offense to Garrett Reed, but I'm going to give you some love. I do think they had the best competitor on the floor in Garrett Reed. And I'm going to stick with that formula. I think Central's going to have the best competitor on the floor in Bryant Hanback, and I think he's going to obviously be a major factor in this game. But I think Wilson might get off to a hot start, but I think Central, I think with Bryant Hanback and Jackson Brewer, I think they're going to get the job done. I'm going with the Wildcats in a close one. But I'm going Wildcats.
Here we go. What you got,
So
Scott?
we got the blue team and the red team.
Yeah.
So I got to break the tie here, I guess. Honestly, I think Central's a little more tested from a competitive standpoint. Wilson off to a hot start. They've already eclipsed their win total from a year ago. I think they won 11 games. They won 10 last year. So, but I don't think they've been as tested as Central has.
Yeah.
And this will be a huge test for them.
It will.
But I got.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
I got the Central Wildcats. I'd put this jersey on if it fit me. It wasn't Josh Bryant's jersey for sure. He brought it to me. He was our guest in studio. But I'm rowing my boat over to Zip City on the reservation, and I'm going to come back with a dub.
There you go.
With the Central Wildcats.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great environment.
It
is going to be exactly what the best part of high school basketball is. Those rivals, those packed gyms, people screaming, people that are going to be embarrassed of how they acted when they go to work the next day. They're going to say, man, I usually don't act like that. But when I'm at these basketball games, I lose my mind. I hear that so much, I feel like, from parents and different ones.
We should ask Coach Bryant if he's going to wear a tie in the game because he does that a lot. Because I guarantee you, win or lose,
That thing's going off.
that by the end of the game, that tie is going to be. It might be completely off. It might be. It's not going to be as tight as it was at the start of the game.
Hey, and Wilson did come out to the Ultimate Warrior theme song one game last week, maybe two. Shout out to them for that. They did. True story. Well, it's been a good show, guys.
It has been a good
no
show.
No doubt. And, all kidding aside, Coach Bryant brought this jersey, and we encourage all our coaches to give us a jersey. We want to hang them up and get a jersey from every team in our coverage area for our viewing audience to see. And we thank all the support from all the coaches. And send in your information, for your players. We want to give them some love out there for their performances.
Yes.
And,
Thank you to the ones that have sent out a lot this week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be it for episode 4, and we'll see you back next week for week 5.